So before I started recording this, I saw a snippet of someone's review on Rotten Tomatoes. It stood out to me and they said, it's not fresh or rotten, but female representation is all that matters. Well, does that really qualify to be a good film or not? Let's see. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in to my opinion/review for Birds of Prey, or Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I really do appreciate it. And if this is your first time finding me and you want more movie reviews, me responding to entertainment news, trailer reactions, or do television recaps, please right now click on that subscribe button and also that bell so you can be notified when I make uploads, and you will be on your way. Birds of Prey is the latest film in the DCEU universe. This movie is being directed by Miss Cathy Yan, someone that I'm not too familiar with. Her last film came out just about a year ago, January 2019, by the title of Dead Pigs. Haven't seen it, never heard of it. If you have and you like the film, please comment below and let me know. Prior to that, she did 3 short films, and so she is pretty new in the game as far as Hollywood big productions are concerned. Now, when it comes to this film, Birds of Prey, the main protagonist in this film is Harley Quinn, played by Miss Margot Robbie. And I am a big comic book fan, and even though I know that Harley Quinn did not originate, she did not debut in the comic books. Her character was made up for the 90s Batman animated series. I know that she is a popular character to a lot of comic book fans out there. A lot of people loved her in Suicide Squad, which came out a number of years ago. And I don't like her character, but I don't hate her character either. It's just somebody that kind of just served a purpose, you know, in my superhero lore growing up, and really just didn't do much for me. However, I will give credit where credit is due and say that Margot Robbie is perfectly cast for Harley Quinn. I don't think anyone else could have fulfilled this role as good as Miss Margot Robbie did. But with this film right here in particular, well, I said I really don't just care about the character in general. I really wasn't looking towards this film at all. I mean, I saw the trailer one time and it just did not do anything for me. I was just kind of like, it looks kind of bad. It's probably going to be bad, but you know, I always go into a film, you know, with an open mind. But what is this movie about exactly? Well, a twisted tale told by Harley Quinn herself when Gotham's most nefariously narcissistic villain, Roman Sionis, aka Black Mask, and his zealous right-hand man Zsasz put a target on a young girl named Cass, the city turned upside down looking for her. Right after Harley and Joker broke up, she teams with Huntress, Black Canary, and Renee Montoya as their paths collide, and the unlikely foursome have no choice but to team up and take Roman down. Now, guys, just go ahead and getting straight to the point. I did not like this movie at all. There were a few things that I did like there was a few jokes that I did laugh at, and I did appreciate some of the comedic timing here and there. And I really did like the beginning of the film, especially the casting of Harley Quinn, aka, you know, played by Margot Robbie. I just said that. But yeah, the very beginning of the film, let's just talk about the good first before I get into all the things that I didn't like about the film. The very beginning, I thought the illustration at the very beginning was phenomenal. It did a great job of introducing Harley Quinn. We know her from Suicide Squad, like I said, but this does dive into her character a little bit more, talks about her origin, where she comes from, and the things that motivate her, and we find out the status of her and Joker's relationship. I thought the narration that complements that illustration in the beginning was also perfect by Harley Quinn. At the this movie comes in at about an hour and 45 minutes, and I will say about the first 15 to 20 minutes, I thought this film was perfect. I thought it was great. I thought it was outstanding. I was actually saying to myself while I was watching the movie, like, wow, this is just incredible. You know, this is starting out to be one of DC's best films in the whole cinematic universe. And I was on board with it all the way. And then we got to introduce to Mr. Roman Sionis, aka Black Mans, like I said, who is being played by Ewan McGregor. And I am a big, well, I don't want to say I'm a big fan of him, but I do like his work. And I thought the casting was great too. I mean, he was funny, he was charismatic, he was flamboyant, he was an interesting character to see on the screen, and I could not wait for him to deliver all the chops throughout the rest of this movie. But then, guys, shortly after that, everything just started to fall apart to where everything just became stupid and unrealistic. And I really want to put emphasis on the word unrealistic. Yes, most comic books, superhero films are unrealistic, but given the context of this film, they had a great chance of it being realistic, but I think they botched that on every level. Let me go ahead and give you a few examples. If you've seen past videos, you know that I'm a diehard martial arts fan, and when it comes to women and fighting and things like that, you know I love a woman that can kick ass. I was talking about that in the Watchmen series. I was praising one of the martial artists in the Yip Man 4 movie that I reviewed back in December. I love a woman that can kick some ass. But when you have these fortified women in this role right here that are trying to kick ass, it really fell apart at the beginning when we got introduced to Black Canary's character, who is being played by Janae Smollett Bell. We all know her from Eve's Bayou from back in the 90s. There was a fight between her and an alley, and this is where everything just kind of started to fall apart for me. All the punches and kicks were telegraphed. You can see them coming from a mile away, and it was just some fake female empowerment move that I just could not get on board with. Now, in other mediums in Hollywood or forms of entertainment, when people are making that complaint talking about, oh, you're just trying to force women on us or doing this and there's just some type of agenda, I think that's incredibly stupid, and I pay no attention to it, and I think those people should go kick rocks. But if they were to use that argument in this movie right here, I think it would be just somewhat justified, because I mean, I thought the fight choreography was horrible. How people are just throwing punches well over somebody's head, missing on purpose, and just when they do miss, it's just over exaggerated, like they're out of breath and they have no more fuel in their tank to keep the fighting going. I mean, the punches weren't crisp, the kicks were not straight. It just looked like an elementary school play, and I was just kind of sitting back rolling my eyes. I mean, it was really frustrating because in another scene you have a character, and I don't want to spoil it, I don't want to spoil which character did this, but she broke into a police station and single-handedly took down the whole entire police station, doing cartwheels and shooting people with a beanbag gun. I mean, what the hell is going on? I just don't understand that. I would think that if you go to a police station, every policeman in the station has a gun on their hip, but you're able to go into a police station and take down the whole place with a beanbag gun. Not an assault rifle, not an automatic weapon, not a shotgun or some super duper futuristic weapon, but a beanbag gun, to the point to where you shoot one beanbag, you have to then stop, reload it, cock it, and then shoot again. I mean, she broke into one room and it was 6 cops with their hands up, and she has a beanbag gun. Hey, where is this information? I want to find it now. Even if she was able to get one shot off, all the other policemen would have been easily able to pull out their gun and unload the clip and eliminate the threat. But no. They just have to have this stupid scene in this movie to where, you know, a woman seems powerful and badass doing cartwheels and shooting beanbag guns. And I just thought the whole thing was ridiculous. Another thing that I just did not like in this movie was I thought it failed at the continuity as far as keeping the scenes progressing. You know, you had one group of characters that was trapped in an apartment, and there were some cops knocking on the door, and then someone threw a bomb in the window. So the bomb goes off, and then there's just a big mess, but then all of a sudden they're able to run out the front door. There was only one way in and one way out, and then the cops were outside the door. But then when the bomb goes off, the cops just disappear. And I'm like, okay, what the hell happened to the cops? That's just one example. Another example was when you have these same 2 characters in the grocery store. They decide that they don't want to pay for their groceries. So they load up their basket and they ram their grocery basket out of the front door. Then it cuts to the next scene and all their groceries are in grocery bags. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? Y'all didn't stop at the counter to get grocery bags. You rammed your basket out of the store, but now all of your your groceries are in bags. These are just some of the examples of what I'm talking about and why I just could not get on board with this film. Now let's just dip back over to the good with Harley Quinn, because I did say that I thought the casting was great. Yes, she was. And at the very beginning of it, I liked how, it showed how big of a badass she was, and that she just really didn't, care and can do whatever she wanted and just kind of walk the streets in the neighborhood like she owned it. But on, going back to the bad, when Harley Quinn, is the main protagonist of the film, when she's progressing through the film, I want her to succeed based off her particular skill set and strategic planning, not randomness and dumb luck. And that was Harley Quinn's character all summed up. Now, in her defense, they did have a line of dialogue where she was like, oh my gosh, I just escaped out of this mayhem off of dumb luck, and I can't admit it. But in my opinion, that's just no excuse, okay? Just because you admit something is bad, that does not give it an excuse to where, okay, I'm just going to, accept this badness. It just doesn't work that way for me. Another thing that I just did not like about this movie was the way the story was told initially, early on, at the very beginning, a point in the movie where I was loving it. I thought it was great, like I said before, especially with Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie's narrating. But instead of giving us a straight linear timeline to tell the story, it kept jumping back and forth from past to present to future, from future, present to past. And it was working in the very beginning, but I thought it ended up being a distraction and it actually diluted the film. And let's just go ahead and talk about the villains real quick. We have Roman Sionis, aka Black Mass, played by Ewan McGregor, and his right-hand man, Victor Zsasz, who is being played by Mr. Chris Messina, who was in that Devil movie about the people trapped in the elevator about 10 years ago. I really did enjoy that film. First of all, Black Mass, he was somewhat of a worded threat at the very beginning of the movie. Then I just kind of started to realize, like, there's just no threat to this dude. Earlier, while I was liking him being charismatic and flamboyant, he just seems like a whiny baby, a brat that's just spoiled and, can't get his way. I don't understand how he's able to take down, all of these people, all of these gangs, all of these crime mob families, when there's just really no muscle, to his mouth, to back up his mouth. I mean, it was just annoying, and I couldn't get over it. And then we have his right-hand man, Chris Messina, who looked like a white-haired version of Pee Wee Herman souped up on crack cocaine. It just wasn't convincing to me. And I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here? Who wrote these characters? I mean, it was funny in the beginning, but at the same time, I'm not trying to laugh, not in a good way the whole time. I want these characters to be like, okay, damn, you don't want to double cross these people because they really will mess you up. Again, they did that in the very beginning, but I thought it just kind of fell apart as the film progressed on. I also thought the film was just anticlimactic at the end. The end showdown were just completely unrealistic to me. Yes, we did get to see Black Canary's powers, but when they was displayed, I really didn't think it fit within the rest of the context of the film. I think it was just, the digital art behind it and the design just did not mesh well with the rest of the cinematography that they had, going on screen throughout the whole thing and at this present time. And the ending battle just kind of ended up being a carway chase in the alley with roller skates or rollerblades, and I was just kind of wanting a little bit more. I mean, I just didn't like this film, guys. I mean, that is just my opinion. And I will go ahead and say that everybody else in the theater seemed like they had a great time. So, I mean, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that you will. All films are subjective. And like I said, this is just my opinion. At one point in time, Harley Quinn was doing some action. And there was one dude in the audience that yelled out in enjoyment, "Oh, man, this shit is incredible," or something like that. I mean, so he was having a good time. I wasn't. I thought that particular scene was just dumb as hell. I don't understand where characters, have an assault rifle in their hand and they have their enemy about 10 feet away, and instead of just unloading the clip to eliminate the threat at that time, they want to run up towards the character with their gun. I mean, why would you close proximity like that and give them a chance to, unarm you? It just doesn't, make any sense. And you have characters standing around with the bat with 6 characters trying to fight them, but they're not ganging up on the character. They're just kind of fighting them one-on-one, waiting there in place. I mean, you know, it just it was a big disappointment, even though I wasn't looking towards this film. We have Renee Montoya in this, played by Miss Rosie Perez from White Man Can't Jump. She did a decent job, but guys, overall, after 30 minutes of this movie, I was ready to go. If I had to rate Birds of Prey out of 1 out of 10, I would give this thing a 3.5 out of 10. Yes, a 3.5 out of 10. But like I said, guys, that is just my opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to the channel. You can also look me up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's at the bottom of your screen. You also have links in the pinned comments and the description box. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget to always chase your dreams, because I'm chasing mine. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.